Though it probably isn't apparent now, but definitely will be by the end of the video, the Demogorgon is one of, if not my favorite killer in Dead by Daylight. He was the first killer I purchased years ago, and his kit is so fun and versatile to play with. He has decent map pressure, and he's got good slowdown with his portals. His shred is a good chase ender or pallet breaker. So, because I love the Demogorgon so much, I thought to myself, what is the best way I could demonstrate this passion? Well, clearly, it's to play nearly 24 hours of no perk Demogorgon using only one add-on at a time. Suppose my idea of a good time is getting teabagged by survivors who need to punish someone for the sins of the starstruck nurse that just bodied them. I've had a burning question for a long time, and this video is an attempt to get an answer. What is Demogorgon's best add-on? So for the last month I've played nothing but Demogorgon. All 21 add-ons for Demo were used in 5 random games, 5 random times, against entirely random survivors. Notes about the game and survivors were recorded on the world's sexiest spreadsheet, as shown here. I started this challenge on October 19th, and I finished on November 21st. I started as an Ash grade killer and made my way to Iridescent 3 before rank reset, using only no perk Demo. Around the time of rank reset in November, I took a break for reasons.
A few of the long shots can be done.
Oh my god, Stinkies is screaming, holy shit.
Really? I want to kill Stinkies?
Holy shit,
After rank reset, I climbed my way to Silver before the challenge ended. This challenge was so much fun that I haven't touched DBD since it ended. It's been bliss. So before we get into this mountain of data that we've got, I feel it's at least important to let you all know what these categories mean. Some of them are simple enough for most of you to catch on, but for those of us who want to ensure that no child's left behind, I'll elaborate on some of the more obscure categories. Kills, Escape, Hatch, and DC are all pretty self-explanatory. Of the 4 poor bastards who loaded into the match, this records how many died, how many got Hatch, how many realized that this game just wasn't worth it, and how many got a good laugh at my expense. The map is the map, I hope this was obvious, and gens remaining is how many gens are left once all survivors have had their fate sealed. Survivor hours is the total number of hours that I could see survivors played. This is really only available for survivors who are on PC with a public profile, and it did totally require me to play as Myers by stalking survivors in the pregame lobby. Types of accounts is where I stored information about non-public accounts and player levels. Teabags is total number of cool guys in the lobby. Mercy exits counts how many times I felt bad and let a survivor go. Keep in mind that this only counts if I let someone go. If someone teabagged at the hatch or gate and I nod at them, it doesn't count. If I down someone at the gate and they crawl out before I grab them, it doesn't count. Mercy exits only count if I got to play the role of God in directly choosing a survivor's fate. Blood points are my total blood point count for the game. It does not include bonus blood points received from offerings, so the max for this should be 40,000. But, should be noted, I'm an idiot, and I started this challenge during the Halloween event. For this reason, I was forced to get at least 1,500 bonus blood points per match, and even more if I hook survivors on event hooks. For this reason, I marked and kept track of when matches were played. If the blood point cell is marked in orange, then the game was played during the Halloween event. If the cell is marked in white, then the game was played after the Halloween event. If the game was played after rank reset, then the match was marked in green. Items is a list of items brought into the match. Other includes items such as maps or firecrackers. I only had this marker because I was lazy, and I really saw them being brought in, so I figured I could just lump them all together. Notable add-ons is for things like brand new parts, odd bulbs, rainbow maps, or other stronger, rare items. Map offerings is used if the survivors decide to punish me with a Coldwind Farms offering, and game notes is my own little personal diary for each game. At the bottom, averages are averages, and totals are totals. Pretty simple. We'll get into the descriptions and thoughts for each add-on later, but for brevity's sake, here's the tier list for add-ons ranked by just kills. A little note, but the BS stands for Blight Serum. The tier list I used didn't have an image for it, and I can't really be bothered to make a list that has one, so this is what we get. Most of the actual tiers here are somewhat arbitrary. If an item's at the top of a tier, it could be moved up a level. If it's at the bottom of a tier, it could be knocked down. I just kind of played it fast and loose with placements, but you can be guaranteed that if one item is below another, it probably deserves to be there. There are no opinions in these charts. Only data determines where items go. Also, at the end of the video, I'll be ranking all the add-ons in a final tier list that incorporates all the data we have, as well as my own personal opinions, to decide what the rankings are once and for all. I need to get my narcissism dose for the day, and pretending people care about my thoughts is the hit I need. So, at the top of the kills ranking we have Barb's Glasses with an average of 3.4 kills per match, and at the bottom is the Rat Tail with an average of 1.8 kills per match. You may think this is the end-all be-all list, but it isn't. Mercy kills and disconnects need to be taken into consideration, so even though this tier list is cool, it's a little misleading and therefore will be thrown in the garbage. The actual tier list is this. Hey, coming back from editing here, just a little note from this point on in the video, KPM will be referring to the combined total of average kills, DC, and mercy exits, and base KPM is just referring to average kills. Cool, cool. At the top of this list is still Barb's Glasses with an average KPM of 3.8, and the Lifeguard Whistle at the bottom with an average of 1.8 KPM. My process for rearranging the furniture is as follows. If one item has a higher KPM than another, it goes higher on the list. If one item has the same KPM as another, then the one with the lower amount of DCs is higher. This is because, had the person stuck around, it may have been harder to kill survivors as they'd have one more person to do gens, heal survivors, rescue from hooks, etc. If two add-ons had the same KPM and the same number of disconnects, then the tiebreaker would be the average gens left. I didn't need to do any more tie-breaking than this, and it really only matters with Tier B. Most add-ons that are right next to each other are essentially the same in terms of effectiveness. So, this list may be a little shocking, seeing as there are a lot of strange rankings. For example, the Lifeguard's Whistle is regarded as one of Demo's less mediocre add-ons, but it is still at the bottom of this list. This all starts to make sense when you look at the next list. This list is a ranking of each add-on based on the average hours survivors have played for. At the top, you'll see the Rat Tail with an average of 2,715 hours per survivor, and at the bottom, you'll find the Red Moss with an average of 352.6 hours per survivor. This means that I was essentially predestined to do poorly in the Rat Tail matches, since I was going up against more experienced survivors. I'd like to mention the only other example I could find of a bad add-on performing very well is with the Deer Lung. The Deer Lung has the unimpressive feat of being able to increase the demo's teleporting speed by 30% at the cost of shrinking his max portals by 2. This really only makes a difference for long-range teleports, but survivors still get a notification when you start the teleport, and really close survivors also get to witness the demo slowly rolling out of bed. So, despite this lackluster benefit, the Deer Lung performed much higher than the other add-ons on the kill test, likely due to the low playtime of survivors in those games. For the sake of not wasting something I put time into, here's how the add-ons ranked in terms of blood points earned. At the top of the list, we have Blight Serum with 35,000 blood points per match, and at the bottom we have Sticky Lining with an average of 19,210 blood points per match. I'm sure you'll notice, but if an add-on did not result in a higher kill ratio, that doesn't necessarily mean that it would result in lower blood points as well. The Lifeguard Whistle had the lowest kill ratio, but it was actually above some of the higher kill add-ons in terms of blood points. This is likely because the faster someone dies, the less time you get to chase them or break pallets. Keep in mind that some of the add-ons had more games played during the Halloween event, which would naturally result in them having boosted blood point levels. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, you can see the averages for each third of the challenge. As shown, the Halloween event was consistently 6,000 to 7,000 blood points higher than any given match after it. Taking this into consideration, I made a new tier list for add-ons based on shoddy averages and rough approximations. If you want to know my formula for figuring out how to adjust the blood point totals, here it is. In my own hubris, I'd like to present the updated blood point tier list. In this updated tier list, we have the Rotten Green Tripe at the top with 34,000 blood points, and Sticky Lining still at the bottom with 17,000 blood points. Items like the Black Heart, you'll notice, dropped significantly in this new list as they were used more during the Halloween event, and items such as the Egg barely drop at all because it sucks and I didn't want to use it early on. You'll notice the Blight Serum is dethroned as well, since all those games had to be played during the Halloween event. If anyone else can notice anything from these charts, feel free to point it out in the comments below. Most insightful comment gets a pin and a big old kiss. Before we move on, I want to point out some other useless data. My average kills for this challenge hovered around 2.47 KPM at base. But if you count mercy exits, then we bump up to 2.679 KPM. And if we count disconnects as well, which for my sake I'd like to, then we come to a final ratio of 2.77 kills per match, which is, funnily enough, a 69% kill ratio and decently close to Behavior's desired 60% kill rate. The average match seemed to take about 12 minutes, and most survivors with visible hours seem to be hovering around the 1200 hour mark. At the end of a match, I would average 0 or 1 gens remaining, and I could count on getting teabags about once every 5 matches. Knowing the community for this game, I'm rather shocked it's not higher, but I digress. I was only able to be generous once every 5 matches as well, so I'm probably going to get coal for Christmas or a mean comment on my Steam profile. Medkits were the most common item brought into games, and I could expect to see at least one every match. Flashlights and toolboxes were less common with an average of 1 every other match, and keys and maps were basically non-existent. All in all, this challenge took a total of 1,300 minutes of playtime, which is equal to 21.675 hours, or roughly 0.9 days. This earned me just over 3.2 million blood points, and with all that currency I could expect to prestige the Demogorgon 2 to 3 times. If I wanted to spend the better part of an afternoon clicking on icons. I'd also like to mention, I know that DCing or dying on hook is an issue with survivors, but out of 105 games with 420 survivors, I only had about 10 disconnects, which is shockingly low. I think this could probably be due to how much people like to play against Demogorgon and how infrequently people play him anymore, but that's purely speculation, just like most of this video. Also, for the sake of testing, I trapped one of my friends in a custom game, and yes, this was done before bots existed. I did a bunch of teleports to get the maximum total BP you could earn from just teleporting. The wiki didn't state how many times you needed to travel through portals to hit max deviousness, so I did the math and testing myself. This was done using the Rotten Pumpkin as well, just to see if it was even worth using. Each portal being opened is 200 blood points. Each travel between portals is 50 blood points. Each broken portal is 200 blood points. If you set up 6 portals, you get 1,200 blood points to start. Each subsequent teleport generates 50 blood points from teleporting, 200 from breaking the portal, and 200 from having to place another portal again. This means that each loop of teleport and replace would generate 450 blood points. With the 1,200 blood points from the initial setup, it would take roughly 20 teleports to hit max deviousness. Using the default teleport recovery time of 14 seconds and 1.5 seconds to enter a portal and roughly 1 second to place, Demo would be teleporting for about 5.5 minutes, not including teleport travel time. Without the Rotten Pumpkin, you could initially place 6 portals, and then teleport between 2 of them to hit the max. Each teleport would generate 50 blood points, and you would start with 1,200 from the initial placement of portals. This means you would have to teleport 176 times. With a default recovery time of 14 seconds and 1 second to enter a portal, this would take Demo 44 minutes to complete, not including travel time. So yes, the Rotten Pumpkin does help you earn blood points much faster if you're only teleporting. But seeing as how it would take 20 teleports to pull off, and just using Demo Shred generates 800 blood points on a hit, I can't really say this upside matters. Just go for shreds and equip Muse Guts if you can't hit them. At least this way you can get 10,000 points before the heat death of the universe. Well great, that's all the macro data and minor details out of the way, so let's move into the add-ons and how/why they perform the way they did. Hey, how's it going friends? Talent here, as far as copyright laws are allowing me to confirm, and today we're going to be looking at the top 7 add-ons from the kills per match tier list for Dead by Daylight's Demogorgon. This is going to be based on my own averages and experience, so it might not be the best way to rank each add-on, but it's what we're going with because it's my video. So starting off, the first one we want to look at is the Barb's Glasses. This add-on decreases pallet shred cooldown by 15%. Looking at the data, we have a base KPM of 3.4, 0.4 Mercy exits, and 0 DCs across all 5 games. It seems that most of these matches were played on decently survivor-studded maps and had a rather high number of survivor hours. We had 2 perfect games in which no survivors escaped, and only 2 people out of 20 made it through the exit gates, so did pretty well there. Why is this add-on so good? Being able to zone survivors effectively and efficiently is a big part about playing Demogorgon. That 15% reduction means that survivors have less time to make it to a next pallet or window after you break a pallet, and if they're on the bad side of one, they have to run all the way around when you catch up to them faster. So this really does allow you to shred through pallets and save a lot of time during the match, which is helpful, especially on maps like The Game, which have a ton of pallets. The only other reason I could come up with as to why these games went so well is because my friend was watching me, and I guess he opened up his third eye and just started calling out survivors that I didn't even notice the first time around, so.
She's in the jungle gym thing. Right. No, I didn't see her, but she's right around that corner.
Teddy? What the fuck? Are you cheating for me?
Up next, we have the Upside Down Resin. This add-on increases the time required to seal portals by 30%. It has a base kill rate of 3 kills per match, a Mercy exit rate of 0.6, and we had 1 DC across all 5 games that we played. We had 1 official perfect game, but if we're going to count Mercy exits as kills, which I usually do like to, then we had 3 perfect games, which is actually more than Barb's glasses. The only blemish on this is that a survivor disconnected after their first hook in the second game that we played, which resulted in easier kills on the other 3 survivors. For reasons why this add-on's doing so well, at least in terms of a no-perk demo, it's because this add-on gives them a lot of slowdown that a no-perk demo doesn't have otherwise. If you place portals next to generators, survivors are without a doubt going to do them unless the gen's about to pop. So having extra 30% to waste their time when it really only takes you a couple seconds to place a portal is really good. Because of this, the resin really helped to generate slowdown in a way that no other add-on really could, and so for that reason I think it usually ranks a little bit higher up on the tier list. Hey, you recording? Yeah, no, I'm just recording. Oh, cool, you making video? Yeah, no, I'm in the middle of a video right now. You can say hi. Got you some water. Oh, thanks for the water. Appreciate it. No worries. Alright, I'll see you. Sorry, that was my roommate. So, moving on from that, up next we have the Vicious Webbing. Much like the Upside Down Resin, this add-on increases the time required to seal portals by 16%. It had an average base KPM of 3.4, with an average Mercy exit rate of 0.2. We had 2 perfect games as well, and only 2 people out of 20 made it through the exit gates. The maps were also fairly survivor-sided, being forced to play on Lambkin Lane and then 2 matches on Garden of Joy back-to-back, so this add-on did well for the same reasons mentioned before, but only to a lesser extent. Just after the Vicious Webbing, we have the Rotten Green Tripe. This add-on increases the traversing speed between portals by 15%. With this add-on, we had an average of 3.4 kills per match at base and 0 Mercy exits. This add-on also had 4 perfect games with no one escaping. However, 1 rough game on Eyrie of Crows in which we only had 1 kill and 3 escapes really brought it down. The survivors had purple medkits and syringes, so there's really not much that teleporting speed can do to help there. Despite the very weak benefit of the 15% speed increase, this still resulted in one of the higher kill rates in the game. There was no available data, but from what I can discern, it was a combination of newer survivors on balanced maps that led to this higher ranking. I would not rate this add-on very highly if I were basing this on a list of opinions, but since we're going off just data, here's where it lands. The next add-on we get to touch on is the Red Moss. This add-on increases the length of the undetectable duration when teleporting by 8 seconds and prevents the Demogorgon from sounding like mac and cheese when he exits a portal. The trade-off for these upsides is a 15% slower teleporting speed. This add-on has an average base KPM of 3, a Mercy exit rate of 0.2, and 1 disconnect across all 5 games. There were 3 perfect games and some really rough games. Even though it's an iridescent add-on, I'm surprised it's so high on the list. It's mostly useful on indoor maps to help hide your approach, and loses some effectiveness with more visible sight lines. This is shown as when playing on outdoor maps, I struggled to even get 2 kills sometimes. I would say the reason why this is so high up here is because the average for survivor hours is the lowest out of any add-on with visible data. Up next is the Black Heart, a personal favorite add-on of mine, which helps to decrease the shred hit cooldown by 15%. This add-on has a base KPM of 2.4, a Mercy exit rate of 0.6, and 1 disconnect. There's really not much to say about this add-on other than the speed bonus is really nice to have, but it doesn't seem to matter much when you're downing a survivor, just because picking up a survivor a fraction of a second earlier doesn't really seem to help much, but that first quick hit of a shred can be really impactful. Overall, I think it does outclass some of the other add-ons that are higher on this tier list than it, but I'm pleased with it being among the best. So the final add-on we're going to cover in this top 7 of the tier list is going to be the Sticky Lining. It's an add-on that really shouldn't be this high, to be honest. It increases the Killer Instinct detection range of portals by about 2.5 meters. This item had a base KPM of 2.2, a Mercy exit rate of 0.4, and there were 2 disconnects across all 5 games. For reference, the 2 disconnects were in the same game and occurred immediately after I hooked the first survivor. Other than that, the Yui in the game was very good at looping, also really nice, so shout out to her, but the increased detection range with this add-on is quite a lot, but it isn't super game-changing or even really useful. If my portal's on a gen, there's a 75% chance it's going to be detecting survivors on that gen with just the base distance. On larger maps, I seem to get stomped as gen pressure is really hard to achieve with no perks. For instance, on Mother's Dwelling, I got stomped really bad, with all 5 gens finishing in just 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I also got flashbanged in a way that I'm not even sure should happen, but they got me nonetheless. I didn't like this add-on much. I could barely notice its effects, especially on a no-perk demo, so let's just keep moving forward to the next tier. So up next on the Demogorgon add-on Iceberg, we have Tier B, which is full of a bunch of mid-level add-ons that can produce consistently mixed results. Starting this tier out is going to be possibly my least favorite add-on in this challenge, the Blighted Serum. This add-on starts you out in a trial with 1 token, and for each survivor you hook, you gain a new token. These tokens replace your killer's power with a Blight Rush, allowing you to charge forward at 200% speed, ending the charge with some minor slowdown. In the case of Demogorgon, who often uses his power for map knowledge or to shred survivors, you'll often find yourself accidentally dashing into walls or at pallets you were going to shred. Looking at the stats for this add-on, we have a base KPM of 2.4 and a Mercy exit rate of 0.4. There were no disconnects in all 5 games that were played. I know this typically is a meme add-on and I can't really expect much, but trying to use this hurt. I don't think I got any value out of hitting survivors after a Blighted Rush because of the slowdown, and in terms of map traversal, there are better options for demo. Accidentally blighting past someone you were attempting to shred is also just really embarrassing. Blight Serum is bad, let's just move on. Moving on to the next entry, we have Muse Guts, an add-on that I will personally run quite often. It has the bonus effects of decreasing the demo's shred cooldown and increasing his number of portals by 1. This add-on came with a base KPM of 2.4 and a Mercy exit rate of 0.2. We had exactly 1 perfect game, which is exciting, but we also had 1 very bad game in which 4 people escaped. Muse Guts is a very middle-of-the-road add-on, and I found that as I got better at using demo shred, I needed the recovery less and less. And it should be noted that if you shred and hit an object, the cooldown doesn't apply. You need to hit nothing for the add-on to work. So if you miss most often around windows and end up bumping into stuff, then this add-on is really only good for the extra portal. Beyond this, there's nothing much to say. The next item to discuss is going to be the Rat Liver add-on. This add-on increases your movement speed while charging your shred by 3.5%. This add-on has a base KPM of 2.4 with a Mercy exit rate of 0.2, and in all 5 games there were no disconnects. We only had 1 perfect game and a handful of rather rough ones. This add-on's 3.5% increase is not a very substantial number, but can really help to make safe loops unsafe against more skilled survivors. Beyond this, there's nothing more to say, except that a really nice survivor called me skilled, and I just want to let him know that really means the world to me. Moving on, we come across the Deer Lung add-on. This add-on increases the traversal speed between portals by 30% with the downside of losing 2 portals, leaving demo with a max of 4. This add-on has a base KPM of 2.6 with no Mercy exits and no DCs. This add-on resulted in 2 perfect games and a few not-so-perfect games. Now, you may be thinking, oh, this add-on isn't so bad, 30%'s a pretty big increase, and you're really only losing 2 portals, but you're wrong. Missing 2 portals means that you need to be perfect with your portal placement. If you place a portal next to a gen that gets finished immediately after, that portal is stuck there, and you have no way to recall it. Moreover, the 30% time difference doesn't really matter that much since it still takes a second and a half to get into the portal and 1 second to come out. This means every teleport is at least a 2-second endeavor regardless of add-ons. Anyways, I'm going to move on. This add-on's bad. I have no idea what's in the middle of the list besides being used against just less experienced survivors. let's keep moving forward. Just so you all know, and this is not a bit, I'll show you the changelog in the script for my video, but the first time I wrote this script, I totally forgot to write about the brass case lighter, which is also the next item up on the tier list. Genuinely, it is such an uninteresting add-on to me that, even though it was on the list, I forgot it. Anyways, this add-on allows Demogorgon to inflict blindness on survivors for 60 seconds after they touch your portal. This add-on has a base KPM of 2.4, a mercy exit rate of 0.2, and 0 disconnects across all 5 games. The one thing that puts it lower than the Deer Lung in terms of rankings is that the Deer Lung had an average generators left stat of 0.6, and this one had a rate of 0.4. All in all, I can't tell when it's helping me. Maybe it could be situationally good if you had a slug build or downed a survivor just outside of the sightline of someone cleansing a portal, but I can never know if it's working or not, and that's just kind of sad. The next add-on is actually one that surprises me that it's so low, being the Leprous Lichen. Now, the Leprous Lichen has the ability to show the Demogorgon survivors when traversing the Upside Down, and it'll also show survivors for 3 seconds after he emerges from a portal. This is almost always seen as one of Demogorgon's top 2 add-ons, but here it is ranking towards the lower half of the add-ons. This add-on had a base KPM of 2.4 and a mercy exit rate of 0. There was 1 DC, and we also only had 1 perfect game. There are 2 reasons I'd like to assume that this add-on didn't perform so well. First is, even though it's on the lower end for average hours per player, it still hovers right around 900 hours, which is a good bit to have per survivor. The second is that this add-on is really good when paired with stuff, but not if you don't pair it with anything. If you get to see everyone on the map but have no way of damaging their generators or downing them quickly, it doesn't add much pressure. This trend is also going to be confirmed with another add-on later down the line, so I'll save the ramblings for then. Arriving at the final add-on within the B tier, we have the Vermilion Webcap. This add-on increases the undetectable effect of traveling through portals by 3 seconds. This add-on has a base KPM of 2 and a mercy exit rate of 0.2. It also had a disconnect rate of 0.4, which is 2 disconnects out of every 5 matches played. It is also rather fitting this happens to be the last entry of this tier, because it was the first add-on that broke my streak of having at least 1 perfect game per add-on. You see, previously I was able to get at least 1 4K with every add-on, but this changed here. The best game I could perform with this add-on had 3 kills and 1 hatch escape, which was also not a mercy exit. Although the add-on does allow for some sneaky plays, there isn't really much 3 extra seconds of undetectable can do for you. The base undetectable timer is 3 seconds, and it takes about 1 second to be fully emerged. With a movement speed of 4.6 meters per second, using the webcap allows Demo to travel for 26 or 27 meters while undetectable, which is quite a lot, but I found that there weren't many areas where survivors wouldn't see me coming first, and even if there was such a sightline, usually a 3-second undetectable would be good enough. It may help to catch some survivors off guard, but it was very rare that I got a whole lot of use out of it, but hey, maybe I just never noticed. Anyways, that'll wrap up Tier B of the Demogorgon add-on tier list. I hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for watching. Starting off the top of C tier, we have the Rotten Pumpkin. This is Demo's meme add-on, which grants 200 extra blood points every time you teleport for the cost of destroying the portal that you entered. This add-on has a base KPM of 2, and a mercy exit rate of 0.2, and a DC rate of 0.2. This add-on also failed to get a perfect game, having a best of 3 kills and 1 escape through the hatch. Depending on how you use this add-on, it can kinda turn Demogorgon into Freddy. By placing 1 portal at 5 different gens and using the 6th to teleport, you can ensure that you've always got at least 1 portal ready to go at any time. This add-on also lets you remove portals that are in areas you don't need to go to anymore, like completed generators. The bad part about this is that you either have to teleport to the unnecessary portal and wait 14 seconds to break it, or lumber all the way over to it and teleport back. Since portals aren't super useful in the first place, as I barely use them in most of my games, I can't recommend this strategy. This add-on may be bad, but at least it was made to be. The only other add-on that was arbitrarily placed in this tier is the Violet Wax Cap. This item has the game-breaking ability of increasing the undetectable duration after teleporting by a whopping 0.5 seconds. With a 4.6 meter per second walking speed, this allows the Demo to gain an additional 2.3 meters of undetectable distance after emerging through a portal. With such a wonderful upside, it is curious to see how the add-on has a base KPM of 2, a Mercy exit rate of 0.2, and a DC rate of 0.2. It also had no perfect games, with the best being 3 kills and 1 escape through the gates. I would equate this poor performance to the fact that the average survivor hour count was 2,508 for this add-on, but I'm going to stop the charade and say that's just bad. This add-on didn't hurt my performance in any way, but it failed to help demo generate any gen pressure. It doesn't help in chase, and the half second of undetectable is so unnoticeable that I hesitate to say it even helped with stealth. If a survivor's close enough to a portal where half a second is going to help get a hit, then they'll already hear him stirring mac and cheese as he leaves the portal, so they're going to know you're coming. We're nearing the finish line as we enter D tier here, and our first add-on is going to be the Thorny Vines. This add-on increases the detection range for portals by 1 meter and decreases the time to serial portals by 11. This add-on has a base KPM of 2.2, 0 Mercy exits, and 0 disconnects. Shockingly, I did manage to get 1 perfect game with this add-on, but I also managed to have 4 man escapes, so that evens the averages out. You'll notice that this add-on also has the same decreased portal cleansing speed that the Resin and Vicious Webbing do, but somehow is at the bottom of the tier list. I don't think being 5% slower than the webbing constitutes dropping to the second to last tier, and honestly, the best explanation I can give for this is I had to play 3 out of the 5 matches on Bad and Preschool, which is a pretty survivor-sided map. Not to mention, the survivors in these matches were also just really good. Beyond that, I think this add-on should be much higher on the tier list. Up next, we come to 11 Soda, which is just a worse version of the Leprous Lichen. This add-on allows demo to see the auras of generators being repaired while traveling through portals. It has a base KPM of 2.2, a Mercy exit rate of 0, and a disconnect rate of 0. Despite being an add-on about seeing gen auras, it surprisingly had one of the lowest gen remaining stats, having an average of 0.2 gens left at the end of every match. Though there are some good examples of gaining map knowledge, there's really not much going for this add-on, and though it should probably be a bit higher, I'm actually fine with it being where it is. The second to last add-on in this tier is going to be the Unknown Egg. This add-on increases the teleport cooldown time by 1.5 seconds, taking it from 14 seconds to 12.5. This add-on has a base KPM of 2 and a rate of 0 Mercy exits and 0 disconnects per match. It is also in a 3-way tie for highest average teabags received per match with 0.8. This was the add-on I initially dreaded doing the most. With my playstyle, I hardly use portals for teleporting and mainly rely on them for gen pressure and map knowledge, so having a reduction of 1.5 seconds to the 14-second teleport cooldown is essentially nothing. For a purple rarity add-on, this is actually sad. The only time it could be useful is when teleporting between exit gates in the endgame once the hatch has been closed. Since you're typically just teleporting between gates hoping to find a survivor, the cooldown could come in really handy. The problem is, I never got this to happen in all 5 games. Survivors either got out safely as a team, or they found hatch before I could. Bringing a purple add-on for this one specific scenario is not worth it at all. The final add-on in this tier is the Rat Tail, and it has the benefit of increasing portal opening speed by 35%. It has a base KPM of 1.8 per match, with a Mercy exit rate of 0.2 and 0 disconnects in all 5 matches. In relation to the Unknown Egg, this item is essentially interchangeable. It has a higher Mercy kill rate, but they both had 0 gens left at the endgame for every match, and both had the same average KPM, and both have no disconnects. I chose to put this one here, and it could probably be above the egg, but the Mercy kill is contentious as I brought the survivor to the gate as her 2 teammates were body blocking for her. Had I tried to hook the survivor, the 2 teammates were at full health and had dead hard, so I doubt I would have made it if I tried. Anyways, this add-on is not great on its own. You don't often place portals unless you use the pumpkin, and the 35% increase to a 1-second action doesn't save you much time. It's not a bad add-on for a brown tier, but it's nothing to write home about. The final add-on in this tier list is sadly the Lifeguard's Whistle. This add-on has the effect of automatically detecting survivors near active portals without having to activate your shred. This positive effect has the downside of reducing the detection range of portals by 1 meter. It had a base KPM of 1.8 with no Mercy exits and no disconnects. This add-on, when a build is made around it, is fantastic. However, just throwing this add-on into the mix is a bad idea. With no perk demo, all the detection did was alert me as to which gens were going to pop, At one point, I seriously had 3 of them going off at once, which is good to know where at least 3 people are at, but no perk demo can't really do much about that. Sure, I could go and shoo away with those rotten kids, but any kick progress would be reset, and one of the bastards is going to come back while I deal with their friend, so not much you can do there. There were a few times where placing portals in typical paths would lead me to detecting survivors as they snuck away from me, which is great, but once I got up to them, it was up to me to make something happen. All in all, you need something to combo this with. Maybe resin to make the portals last longer, maybe some vines to increase the detect distance, or maybe bring the lighter so once the match ends you can kind of guess if it helped you. All in all, this was a fun challenge to do, for the most part. I feel like we learned a lot of interesting things about Demogorgon, a killer that's been out since 2019 and hasn't been updated since May of 2021. Since I promised it at the start of the video, I'm going to go ahead and rank the add-ons based on my own experience with them as a no perk, 1 add-on demo. This list would obviously change if I were to do this with perks or other add-ons, but you clicked on my video, so I get to make the rules. This list has 5 tiers, S, A, B, C, and D. For me, everything within a tier could be swapped between members of the tier, it's not super hard stuck that way. Everything in S tier are items that I like to bring in, things that help a no perk demo and chase, or things that give him a good bit of slowdown. Things in A tier are good items that are nice to bring along, but may force you to use your own skills to finish the job once they get you started, such as the Leprous Lichen. B tier add-ons are very plain for me. They're okay to have, but their effects can't really help you win games consistently. You have to work a bit harder to get payoff with these, but the payoff will be worth it. These add-ons are also a bit more map dependent than others, so keep that in mind. Add-ons in the C tier are starting to get into the territory of being bad. Either their effects aren't super noticeable or helpful, or they require you to play in a strange way to get any benefit. Items in D tier actively hurt me or are just pointless. Their effects are bland, not helpful, and may even hurt you. Blight Serum is at the very bottom of this list, and I thought about putting it even lower. The fact that it can stop you from using your power is awful. The payoff for this inconvenience is getting to jog at survivors before an asthma attack takes hold and all the survivors run away. So anyways, rant aside, this is how I feel about each add-on. Again, and I can't stress this enough, this is how add-ons would stack up on a no perk demo. Mileage with these add-ons may vary when using perks or combining add-ons. So, I know we're getting to the end of the data I had collected, but there's one more thing that I haven't told you guys yet. I lied to you. This whole video started with a lie. I didn't play 105 games. I didn't have 21 categories. I've always had 22 categories. I had always played 110 games. For those more inclined to the sciences in the group, you may have noticed that I didn't talk about any control group for my data. Well, the truth is, I have a control group. Once I finished all the add-ons, I wanted to see what it would be like to play demo with not a single thing equipped. Nude, as some may say. I played 5 games over the course of 2 days with not a single add-on or perk. If I were to include that data into the tier list, this is what it would look like. For the adjusted KPM list, it is the 5th best add-on, right above the Leprous Lichen and right below the Rotten Green Tripe. If you don't adjust the kills, it is still the 5th best add-on, right below the Resin and right above the Moss. It ranks right in the middle of the Blood Points tier list for both the adjusted and non-adjusted versions. And I know what you might be thinking right now. Well, surely this means that the games I played with no add-ons were against worse survivors than the other add-ons. Maybe they were worse, but in terms of a metric I can measure, it was the 5th highest ranked add-on based on survivor hours with an average of 2,028 hours per survivor, putting it right below the egg and right above the rat liver. So, now that this whole experience is framed with all available information, we come to one of 3 conclusions. First, of all of Demogorgon's 21 possible add-ons, only 4 of them make Demogorgon stronger, and the other 17 make him arguably weaker than having no add-ons at all. Blood points are also earned at a faster rate when running no add-ons versus if you were to use half of his other add-ons. Even when paired against better survivors, having nothing appears to be the better option than having something. If you want to do really well, bring the glasses, resin, webbing, or tripe. Otherwise, your best bet is to bring no add-on at all. The second conclusion to be made is that I became so much better from the start of this challenge to the end that we should throw out this metric entirely. That because I had almost 22 extra hours of experience under my belt at the end of the challenge, the final games I played shouldn't be compared to the first, as I'm now much more experienced. Though this is a fair assessment of the whole challenge, I would like to extend a counter-argument to this claim. It should be noted that the add-on I finished just prior to the no add-on run was the Unknown Egg, which, according to the KPM chart, is the third worst add-on. Even if the benefit is minimal, the egg has no downside, and if time is such an important factor, then the egg should have been one of the best add-ons used. So, the third, and arguably most valid assertion is that none of this even mattered. The games were played against an ever-changing set of survivors, and on either random maps or maps the survivors chose to go on. The items they brought and the perks they brought were all random. So how could we even begin to compare one match to another, let alone compare sets of matches to other sets of matches? The most valid assertion is that this challenge, and subsequent data, were flawed from the start. So with all this in mind, where does that leave us? What was the point in doing any of this? As I'm finishing the script for this video, I keep asking myself, why? Why did I decide to do this? Why did I remove myself from playing other games with my friends so that I could finish this challenge? Why am I still working on this video now? The whole point of this challenge was to find out the best possible add-on for Demogorgon, but after all this effort, I cannot confidently say to someone this is Demo's best add-on, or this add-on makes Demo worse to play. But maybe this isn't a bad thing. If I'm being entirely honest, I think the answer to what's Demo's best add-on is, and always should be, it depends. Dead by Daylight is an amazing game, and at its core, deep down, is random chance. Map selections, perks, offerings, the killer, palette locations, tile placements, everything about this game is random. No one item is so broken or overpowered that you're forced to bring it. Yeah, Demo may never be as good as Nurse or as bad as Trapper, but it's the little variations in each game that keep me coming back. Will I get a 4K? Will I get stomped? Will a survivor make me laugh? Or will they call me a slur in the endgame chat? Games like Call of Duty are great, and I love them, but they eventually develop a meta in which everyone who isn't using the best weapons and attachments is just at a hard disadvantage. For the most part, Dead by Daylight isn't like that, and weird or uncommon builds have a place in every game. So, to finish, after about an hour of speaking and days of recording and editing, I don't have a solid answer to what's the Demogorgon's best add-on, but maybe, just maybe, the best add-ons were the friends we made along the way.
Hallelujah.